It feels like every single week that goes by, there's a new stat that gets released regarding Ubisoft's latest game, Assassin's Creed Shadows, that tries to prove everybody wrong and that this game is somehow massively successful if people would just believe what they're told. The problem is, there's no control group for the information that's dispersed, and what we find out is, yeah, what we're being told doesn't actually hold any water when you compare it to how much the game allegedly cost to make. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Smash JT. Assassin's Creed Shadows sales numbers have leaked, according to Mat Piscatella, who says that Assassin's Creed Shadows is the best-selling game in the US for the first 3 weeks on the market, and currently the number 2 selling game year to date, trailing only Monster Hunter Wilds, which, on the surface, when you hear that information, you're like, man, I guess this game is actually doing pretty well. I guess all the chuds were wrong about saying Assassin's Creed Shadows was a massive failure, except when you take a step back and ask, how much did Ubisoft spend on creating this game? Hit that subscribe, give me a like, and check out SmashJT.com for the full article breaking down how Assassin's Creed Shadows is selling, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's winning. There's a lot of noise today about Assassin's Creed Shadows being the second best-selling game of 2025 in the US, according to Circana, formerly the NPD, data shared by Mat Piscatella. And he said on Blue Sky, here's a fun one. Assassin's Creed Shadows has been the best-selling video game in the US for each of its first 3 weeks in the market. According to Circana retail tracking service, dollar sales, latest data through April 5th, currently ranks number 2 year-to-date, trailing only Monster Hunter Wilds. And when you hear that, you're like, dang, okay, this game is now number 2 overall for 2025. That's pretty good. So that means it's sold more than Schedule 1? Well, not necessarily. It's just Schedule 1 only cost 16 to 20 bucks, whereas Assassin's Creed Shadows is a full price $70 USD AAA, or Ubisoft's case, quadruple A style game, selling for the maximum price possible. Going with the idea that Shadows had topped sales charts for 3 weeks straight when it launched and now currently trails only Monster Hunter Wilds, let's pump the brakes just a bit before crowning Ubisoft's latest title as a runaway success. Because here's where it all falls apart and reality hits the road, is sales do not equal profit. And while the defenders of the wokeness might be out there completely clueless, saying, oh, this one is our own on the chuds, Assassin's Creed Shadows is a runaway success, and we finally can tell everyone, look at how well it did, and how they were complaining about nothing because all along the game was selling, and they were wrong about all of it. Well, no. In fact, I'd argue many people, including myself, had said along the way that it's Assassin's Creed. It will sell. But it's not going to make money. It's actually going to lose Ubisoft a lot of money. And what we get from the information from Mat Piscatella here is no real details as far as how much money Ubisoft is making, or in this case, lack thereof. Rumors have been swirling that Assassin's Creed Shadows may have cost upwards of 300 to, I've even heard rumors of 800 plus million USD dollars to develop and market. That's some seriously astronomical numbers, even for a AAA game. If those figures are even remotely accurate, then Shadows is facing a nearly impossible hill to climb just to break even. Selling well out of the gate would typically be a good sign, especially when it's propped up by cinematic trailers and media hype, but in this case, what happens when the dust settles and the bills come due? Because I would argue that no matter how well it sells, if you're not making your money back on what you put into creating the game, it doesn't actually matter. And investors feel the same way, because over the past 30 days, the stock is down 30% as of recording this video. And it continues to spiral downward as the days go on, showing exactly how investors feel about the company's long-term viability. And don't you think if Assassin's Creed Shadows were truly turning a corner here and this information actually mattered, wouldn't you think there'd be like a massive spike in the stock being like, oh my God, Everyone had it so wrong with Assassin's Creed Shadows. It's actually a runaway hit. And now the stock can rebound and Ubisoft is saved. They're not in debt anymore, all this money coming in. It's a massive win for the company. Now, we already know better than that. Over on Blue Sky, Ubisoft defenders are gloating like this is some sort of vindication. We got Giancarlo Collado saying, "Oh, I'm sure the anti-woke crowd will be very civil about this news." Mitch Dwyer said, "Well, how about that?" Verdergas says, "But Steam numbers, Matt. I've thoroughly enjoyed my time so far with Shadows." And your friend Andrew said, "My concurrent." And probably my favorite cope going on is from Rebecca Valentine, the IGN journalist best known for pushing the lies of game science and Black Myth Wukong with mistranslated information, trying to get that company canceled while Black Myth Wukong was being released because allegedly Black Myth Wukong's creator Game Science refused to work with consultant agencies, and because of that, they wanted to libel and slander as much as they could because the Chinese company would not be able to defend themselves, and it was going to be an easy win for the Journo Mafia. And this is a lot of cope from these people that are trying their best to spin the numbers as best they can to somehow justify Shadows as a win, when in reality, it's not. All the numbers we keep hearing from Ubisoft do not have a control group. They've said, "Oh, we've had 2 million players. We've now had 3 million players." I mean, they could say they've had 10 trillion players. It doesn't matter if you're still losing money. If you're putting more into the cost of the game than you're getting out of it, it's not a long-term solution to a successful business. Anyone actually paying attention here understands the investor confidence and financial viability matter far more than first month chart rankings. And again, it's Assassin's Creed. So of course it would be selling, especially if there wasn't too much competition out there in the AAA space. I mean, obviously, Monster Hunter Wilds is running away with sales, and we all see that. But really, it's been a pretty slow release schedule for massive AAA titles at the beginning of 2025 this year. So it's not a huge surprise to hear an Assassin's Creed title selling second best. If anything, I'd argue, why isn't it first? Oh, that's right, because it's really not doing that well compared to the cost they put into it. Ubisoft's internal documents leaked last year revealing that the company was already under seriously massive pressure to deliver a huge hit and fast. But this isn't just about Assassin's Creed anymore. Ubisoft has been burning money while chasing trends, bloating development costs, and nearly 20,000 employees at their company, relying on outdated formulas while competitors continue to keep innovating. Shadows might be number 2 year to date in terms of sales, but how many sales is it? And how many does Ubisoft need to even break even? Doing some quick math and research over on Reddit, Panino said Assassin's Creed Shadows needs to sell around 7 million copies to break even. And they break down the math assuming that this is going to cost around $250 to $300 million to develop the game and market it and get it out there. But that was their initial research. As it continued, they say, well, it actually might have cost them more, closer to $400 million after delays and marketing budget, based off of what has been reported by Ubisoft. But what was not reported is potential costs that go well beyond the estimated $400 million budget for Assassin's Creed Shadows. If it costs more than that, then the numbers of copies that need to be sold at full price from Ubisoft goes up exponentially. And I would argue, based off of what we've seen, especially on Steam numbers, it's not anywhere close to what they need to even break even. So sure, Assassin's Creed Shadows is selling, but is it winning? No, that's an extremely different conversation. It's funny to me that we keep seeing more and more articles and tweets and people running defense for Ubisoft, giving it the positive spin and narrative that they're trying so desperately to get out there without providing any kind of tangible information to actually understand what the numbers they're saying mean against how much Ubisoft spent. Again, I don't know how else to tell you guys this, but just look at the stock. If you don't believe a YouTuber saying the game is a massive failure, look at the stock price of Ubisoft and think to yourself, if the game was a massive runaway hit, Don't you think the stock might be at least rebounding a little bit over the past 30 days? It has done anything but that. But yeah, let the defenders of Ubisoft take their victory lap while Ubisoft themselves is fully unraveling as we speak. Ultimately, what's going to happen is they're going to realize in real time that defending this game and company and trying to get a win over the Chuds is once again going to expose them for not having any kind of idea how business works. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there. If you guys want more information, check out smashjt.com for the full article. I will link this article in the description below. If you appreciate what I'm doing, hit that join button. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, you stay smashing.
So I was like, I have got no idea how to do this. Obviously, I Googled it.
Right,
You know,
yeah,
just
yeah.
trying to, and I used like my broomstick. So it's a little longer than, you know, so I'm trying to show, like, trying to do with some skill, like, you know, and then it's like, wait, hold on, I gotta. Ah!
Smash J,